All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Drew Leidecker here in the Battle Lab in Chicago on a wintry, cold day. But we've got some rays of sunshine. We've got SADA in the house. I'm super thrilled to have you guys here. I feel like every time we explain to anybody anything SADA, money starts falling from the cloud, no pun intended. I think you just told me actually on the way in another deal closed this morning, which is just outstanding, and we'll get into that a little bit today. I think first things first, I'm just going to move along here. I just want to get a couple housekeeping things done. Special Forces Summit is already filling up. We are, as probably a lot of people know, the expectations around Special Forces Summit is kind of unlike anything else here at Avant. Last year it was like nothing else. Over 1,000 people who attended. A lot of them felt like their businesses had changed, their lives had changed, and they walked out a different person in 2.5 days. This year, the expectations for Special Forces to be even better and bigger is extremely high. I can tell you that the marketing team has been working around the clock on it. It's something we actually have our own countdown clock that unfortunately I have to walk by every single day to remind me how soon it's coming. So I highly suggest everyone that's out there listening today, we've got a huge audience today, appreciate that so much, to get out there, sign up, get with your channel managers, figure out how you can book your rooms, make sure you're there. We're taking over the entire hotel. It should be absolutely mind-blowing. If we have anything here at Avant, it's always paying attention to the little things, the small details. Last year, our speaker, Robert O'Neill, who was a Navy SEAL, super famous for obviously the Bin Laden raid. If you think we could actually outdo ourselves, we have. That's the only hint I will tell you. I cannot believe we have gotten who we've gotten to come and speak with us. So it's just going to be an incredible event. That's June 1st through the 3rd, Fairmont Hotel, which is supposed to be absolutely amazing. We took the whole place over. Austin, Texas, which we all know is a blast. You guys are also going to be a big sponsor there this year. Talk a little bit about that.
Very much so. Yeah, we're very, very eager going into that. Obviously, Austin, Texas is my home.
Yeah.
So very much looking forward to the Diamond partnership again and continuing the partnership with Avant.
Yeah, so you have no excuse. You're going to be there with bells on. Why don't you, real quick, introduce yourself?
Sure. So hi, I'm Billy Franz, Director of Channel Sales at SADA. We're new to the Avant ecosystem, signing on in July 1st. So this last year was our very first Special Forces Summit. I got to say, you guys did a fantastic job. Very much looking forward to next year. In fact, we at SADA, we're gunning very much for the Rookie of the Year in Health Program, the Supplier of the Year as well, and then I'm going to introduce my channel team here in a second, but I fully expect my channel manager, Dave, to take home National Channel Manager of the Year. So I want a clean sweep. Go for it all.
Wow. He's definitely feeling like Google's behind him, I think. And it's funny, we got such a huge audience today, and I think it's greatly due to the fact that, and hopefully we'll do the best we can of demystifying how to take advantage of really the fastest hyperscaler in the industry, the fastest growing, I should say, which is a silver bullet for everybody that does not know that. Percentage-wise, we had our engineers look it up today, and Google Cloud is growing faster overall percentage-wise than AWS and Azure. They've got a ways to go, but they're looking for us to help them become number one. And on top of that, for everyone that's listening today, we've been able to monetize this hyperscaler better than anyone's been able to monetize AWS or Azure. And this is so crucial for every trusted advisor today because every company on the planet knows they want to do something with Google in GCP, but they just don't necessarily know the resources or the right people to be able to help them deliver that. And that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Absolutely. We're going to dive deep into that. We're going to cover the two largest products that we see the most ROI for agents in the ecosystem, and then really look forward to growing the Google Cloud partnership across the board.
Fantastic. So we've got a whole team here behind us. Maybe you want to quickly introduce your team, but I've got a team here as well. We're ready to take as many questions as you can, so as you want, keep firing them in. We will be getting them announced to us as we can go through the slide deck. We'll try to keep the energy up, but look forward to it. I'll kick it off to you.
Sure, appreciate it. So as I mentioned before, I'm Billy Franz, Director of Channel Sales at SADA. We are 2018 Google Cloud Global Partner of the Year. The team that I've got assembled here today is David Vinci, our National Channel Sales Manager out of our HQ in LA, and then our Inside Channel Manager, Erica Baker. These will be the agents that will take care of the Avant agencies day in and day out, from top to bottom, owning that relationship through and through. So the expectation there is very high. They'll be the two front people.
I think more or less, too, just demystifying any questions you possibly have around Google and how to take advantage of it. So I think that's the key here is there are going to be more questions than we'll be able to handle here today. That's a fact. But, make sure that you get with your channel manager, your inside channel manager, and most importantly, your SADA team to be able to get all of those questions, put to rest. So that's a goal today of ours, and we'll keep going.
Absolutely, 100%. So who are we? With SADA, we'll let the numbers kind of speak for themselves. You guys see right there on the screen. 25 million users migrated to the cloud within our system. 10,000 workloads, not a problem. We have a strong background in terms of Google's 4 key pillars and migrating users based upon those key workloads to Google Cloud across the board. And then same with our G Suite practice. More than 3,000 customers served and migrated, the full digital transformation, the workshops, what have you. We take care of it start to finish. And then obviously 3,300 projects completed.
And as we kind of go through this, I'll keep kind of injecting a little bit, but I think that's one of the things that I want to start off by demystifying. So, for instance, there's a lot of clients today who are very interested in going to Gmail, or they're interested in getting into GCP in some capacity, right? They've got legacy applications, they've got legacy products. They're struggling keeping developers. Some of the developers maybe know a little bit about Google from Kubernetes and other things like that, but the resources, they just feel like maybe it's just not time for them. But that's where you step in.
Absolutely. So our entire team, and I'm going to cover this a lot more in depth on the GCP part of the practice here, but we do have the full technical resources. One of the key benefits of partnering with SADA for your agents is that we actually hired as our CTO the former head of solutions at Google, a gentleman by the name of Miles Ward. And customers are actually given access to Miles based upon workloads, needs, and use case, right, to actually get up to speed on GCP at a faster rate. So really, the big value add for SADA is putting customers at ease in a migration to the cloud.
Yeah, I think this is the problem with every hyperscaler today is AWS in the early days, they had a lot of developers that could start to understand AWS. They slowly grew into it. The next thing you know, it was a bit of a runaway train for them to some degree. IT staffs kind of lost control, and quite frankly, I say this a lot publicly, a lot of CIOs lost a little bit of power inside of their IT organizations because AWS took off. The developers that learned it had all the power, even though they weren't as senior or didn't have the necessarily roles and responsibilities. That's why we say today, managed hyperscalers, the only way to go in, because you can give your developers everything that they want, but you can have control around it, thus giving IT the support back that they've always needed. You're doing it differently. We're coming into a brand new hyperscaler cloud today, all of these incredible products that Google builds, and you're helping them not only get there, but you're standing up a service that, quite frankly, is a lot better than going Google Direct.
Sure, exactly. In fact, many times Google is asking us to provide the expertise, that white glove concierge service, to the customer base and managing the workloads, assisting with the workloads, and then giving that feedback back to the customer on here's how you should do X in this exact situation. Right. So that's 100%.
So going to the next slide here, I think this is important for everybody to know.
Yeah, so Google has a scorecard in the partner ecosystem. SADA is number one. Obviously, we're the 2018 Global Partner of the Year. Before that, we were the 2017 North American Partner of the Year. And then related to Google Cloud products, it's really 4 key components. It's GCP, which is Google Cloud Platform, a competitor against AWS or Azure. The next component is G Suite. Microsoft has a very similar offering that G Suite is comparable to. Google Maps, right? And then the last is Google Cloud Search. In fact, that's kind of Google's hidden gem within a customer base. What Google Cloud Search is, imagine taking the power of a Google search bar and adding it to a customer's inventory in the sense that they can index, prioritize, and search for the catalog and services. So we've actually been told by Google directly that SADA has the Michael Jordan of Google Cloud Search and our team.
And it's a conversation. This is very important for everybody today. I think as a trusted advisor, this is the golden era. I say it time and time again because nobody on earth from an IT staff has the capabilities to be able to do the research to understand every single thing that you can be doing to change your company. Google Search is something that I guarantee you 95%, if not more, of our trusted advisors never talk to their customers about. IT is always looking at advances to what they're doing for their customers, their internal customers. Google Search can be one of those just unbelievable talking points.
Unbelievable. Yeah. And it is very, very cost effective, but at the same time, as an agency, when you get in there with the customer and you start indexing and filing, that amount of monthly revenue, that stacks up very, very quick and rapidly.
And the experience you have too. It was funny, I was on a CIO event on a boat after my speech. I was talking to a CIO of one of the largest hospitals in the entire country, and I said, "What's one of the most successful relationships you have today?" And he goes, "Well, you probably wouldn't think that we're a massive Google shop. We actually do a tremendous amount of our business in IT around this company called SADA." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And I think at the time, I think he had about 140,000 employees. So I knew that right then and there, you were enterprise ready, and that some people are really taking advantage of it. And so that's what we hope to talk about today.
Sure, yeah. So with that, it's great that you said healthcare. It's kind of been our claim to fame. So about SADA, it's a great segue. Thank you very much. So SADA was founded in 2000. We started in the Google space in 2007. Google actually practically reached out to us to assist in what was called selling Google Apps. You know Google Apps today as G Suite. And then our claim to fame within that was kind of centered around our G Suite healthcare practice. We found that there's a lot of strong use cases in the healthcare, life sciences industries that G Suite solves for in terms of collaboration, mobility, accessibility, indexing, what have you, that were really, really strong there. And then we've grown that practice beyond healthcare to the verticals of high-end enterprise, high-end corp, middle corp, so about 200 seats or above G Suite, and then GCP workloads all across the board. So we can assist in all those.
So one of the things I had a meeting with my engineers today, and they were like, by all means, you guys can handle small customers, but where Avant really excels as a company is in that enterprise space, and you guys flourish in that.
Very, very much so. I would, my CEO would be remiss if I didn't say that we have probably the strongest G Suite and GCP base of sales and assistance and technical account management to aid the enterprise and high-end corporate space.
So
that's for you, Tony.
Yeah, and he might be watching right now. So, and as Amazon's kind of taken off, right, and as Azure, which is basically giving you a way to a degree to get you into their cloud, Google's in the beginning phases of this for all intents and purposes. So going in with a partner now, where the pendulum is starting to swing back to, which is those managed services, is so crucial.
So I would agree with what you're saying on that. I think it's important also to call out and note that Google really was the first cloud company ever created. If you think about when Google's foundation starting, it was actually built in the cloud, whereas its top two competitors, one today is kind of viewed as this intermediate, maybe legacy software, and then the other company that might be the leader is started as a bookstore and then moved into cloud computing. So it's just kind of something to think about. I'm not trying to throw any jabs there on that, but Google truly was a cloud company. And then as you talk about the upswing on that, Google's investing $45 billion over the next 3 years. So if there was ever a time for an agency, specifically one of your trusted advisors, to hop on board and help a customer migrate to infrastructure or a hyperscaler or stack, now's the time to do it. There's money on the table to be had.
And I love this next slide. So how do we do it? Walk everybody through kind of an engagement. I would love for you to even start with just a conversation that everybody can have, maybe a quick conversation starter, and then kind of talk about how your offerings kind of roll out from there.
So we do have that slide coming up on that, and that'll actually walk you through on how we get to Google and the customer portfolio. But to answer your question on what can a customer ask is very, very simple, very high level, and it's what are you doing today from an infrastructure as a service stack? Are you on-prem? Are you in a data center, or are you in another cloud provider? And it's simply understanding what that business is, what vertical that company is in, and what they're trying to do. Understanding the initiatives of that company. Because what we're trying to see right now, what we're seeing a big move from, is again on-prem to cloud, or colo to cloud, or another cloud provider that maybe one of the other two is bleeding in understanding the customer too much, and the customer's giving away too much information to one of those top two providers out there, and that they want to move away to Google because of the new upswing and trending. Likewise, from an agency standpoint, if an agent has a customer that they've done business with in the past, and there's a new CTO on board, they should be chomping at the bit. CTOs absolutely love Google in the sense that it's something new, something trendy, something to look at, and the CTO and CIOs can put their fingerprints all over their company by making them move.
And I would also say that, a lot of times when I'm talking to CIOs, they're saying, I want diversity. Not one cloud is one fit for every company.
Sure.
And I think that diversity, and also that new CTO, what's a new CTO have to do the second they come in? They got to make a name for themselves. They've got to come and, make changes. I often say, if you're running the same 10-year playbook, you're terminally ill and you don't even know it. It's true, though, right? And so making these big changes, coming in there, using a platform like Google, it's going to be successful. But in my opinion, you need a partner to help you do it.
Absolutely. Agree. Couldn't agree more on that. So that's what we really assist with. And then the customer sales cycle, right? Once your customers find a deal, where and how to SADA run it and what can they expect. So I'll cover that right now. So with the discovery, readiness, and planning, from start to finish, if you had a customer that was maybe on-prem and needed to look at infrastructure assessment, or was looking at a potential move away from a different cloud provider, we have tools like Cloud Physics, Live Optics, and StrataZone that we can run, and we're deploying those on customers at no cost right now. To give you an idea, I just talked to one of your trusted advisors down in Austin, and he just had a customer pay for this type of engagement, and it cost 6 figures just for this tool to tell the customer how much they're over-provisioned. We're giving this away, again, at no cost to customers to test their environment and see what it would cost to move over to GCP. Now, to be clear, we would love to have that customer move over, but again, that infrastructure assessment or that cloud physics assessment is no cost. So that's really helping the determination up front for the discovery, the readiness, the planning, and migration aspect over to it. And then secondly is the resale component, right? So once we've kind of architected what a customer is going to do, what it's going to look like in moving to the cloud, our resale process is where we really work on behalf of the customer. So David and Eric are actually running 2 deals right now. The first deal in this resale aspect actually is the highlighted win that I talked about briefly off camera before walking in. So congrats, by the way, to your Mountain West team. Thank you very much for that nice $300K annual sale. So that was a fantastic job on that. And that's came from one of your boot camps. So for the agents out there, make sure you attend the Avant boot camp and you get to meet us.
Great pleasure.
That's not even actually written in the deck, so that was right off the top.
It is true. Every time we do a boot camp or we do a meeting like this, you guys hear about this. Someone's walking into an account and walking out with 6-figure deals, and it's truly remarkable. I think our first big win was another boot camp, or actually Special Forces Summit.
Special Forces, yeah.
They learned about it at Summit, walked away a couple weeks later, and had a $100,000 a month deal. So
yeah.
We'll talk maybe a little bit about that.
Very much so, yeah. Sorry, I got a little excited.
Yeah.
We start talking money, and money is up for grabs, right? This is out there for you agents to go out there and get. So stay hungry, stay ready. So with this resale from this customer that we came from your boot camp, the customer actually kind of had a unique use case in the sense that they were a startup. They're spending about $25K monthly to $30K monthly on GCP. They had looked at bringing this over to SADA, and your agent understood the value of that with our technical account management, our onboarding, our white glove services that we can assist with. But there was one little caveat. The customer still wanted to pay with credit card. Now, let's be real. Most of the time we want to invoice our customers, but we understand that not all customers are treated the same and need to be very individualized in terms of respect and how we go to market with them. So what we did is we got very creative on how the customer could still utilize the credit card purchase. Not a problem, got that taken care of. The other use case that's coming out is right now, David and Eric are actually running a PSF funding with Google. So the customer is looking at a proof of concept that we were actually able to secure about 40 to 50K in funding for this customer to look at and test the Vision API. And if this is successful, this is going to be a $3.4 million deal.
Wow.
So that we take care of all of that.
It's funny, Alex, our chief strategy officer tells us a lot, to look at these deals like a traditional, even a UCAS deal or a carrier deal, is actually a disservice, because the growth aspect of these deals is so tremendous in how they're going to continue to keep consuming and growing, that in a lot of sense, it takes over some of those legacy channel programs that we've all been a part of.
Yeah, so that's great that you say that, because we're actually finding that data supports this from our existing customer base. When a Google Cloud customer comes on to SADA as a biller of record, there's an 8% growth quarter over quarter. And if that customer is spending about $40K monthly, or they sign a commit on SADA paperwork, we'll actually delegate a technical account manager, which is the concierge service, the sounding board. And when we get a TAM on an account, our TAMs actually have been known to grow accounts at 38% quarter over quarter. So it becomes insanely sticky very, very quick, and there's a lot of growth.
It's awesome.
So that goes into a little bit about the migration, the transform. We assist in that component too. Once the customer signs the document, the growth strategy. One of the things that we're doing that's a little bit different in the ecosystem is we've offered flat rate packages in terms of VM migration, database migration. We've got a slide that's going to highlight that much further in depth than what I'm going to go to right now. And our support. So our support managed services, again, that partner scorecard that I brought up at the beginning of this slide, was that we lead that charge, and we don't become number one just by selling a high volume of Google Cloud. We become number one with the support and trust that we provide with our clients and the audience.
So do you look at that like an extension of their staff from a support perspective, around people that understand GCP more than anybody else? It's what your business is built on. You know where everything is inside of the Google platform. You know what to take advantage of. You know who to call. You get them to the right support structure at Google.
You're correct. So actually, we handle most of the tier one through 3. There was kind of a really unique case where we had a customer that was breaking a product within Google Cloud Platform. When I said breaking, that means they were coding like crazy and actually maxing out to the capabilities. And one of the cool things by utilizing SADA for this customer is that we were actually able to get the VP of product for that specific product from Google Cloud on the phone with the customer and write a success story for that Google Cloud customer. And I would be open to challenge to see if there are any other Google partners in the ecosystem that could do what we did at that scale.
And that's what, why I love that story, and I wanted to bring it up, is because, the trusted advisor community that we have, a lot of our strength and the reason why we're so successful is because we have those types of relationships with service providers. We could do things that, quite frankly, no customer could really ever do on their own by going direct. And I think that's just, again, why you're an extension of their IT staff, giving those managed services, getting their back when they go into this massive ecosystem of Google.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, we have a question.
We have a question. What sort of support do you offer in the UK?
In the UK. So right now, we are looking at that. I'm building a use case right now with my SVP and CEO on us looking at potentially moving into the UK and even South America. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on camera, but they'll love it. So they're on the roadmap. It's something that we're working on. Really, the caveat with that is Google has unique consoles that from our ecosystem or Google's ecosystem as a partner that are requirements, and then separately the support and staff. Because we don't want to just roll out to a market. We're currently in nine cities in the U.S. or U.S. and Canada states in North America. And if we go into a market, we want to make sure that we're supporting the staff, the sales, the technical resources, the management, all around that one office for our customers' needs.
So kind of walk before you run and make sure that you dot every I and cross every T. It's not to say that we can't do deals out of the UK, though, correct?
Correct. That is correct. So there's ways to work around it, and we're happy to take care of that. I would say route it to either our Avant at SADA, talk to your Avant channel manager, your Dave or Eric or myself. Happy to work that out and have a conversation. Actually, we're doing that with Julie Underwood right now down in Austin.
Okay, good.
Your channel partner or channel manager. Sorry.
Our rock star.
So, hey, Julie, thanks very much, by the way. And Rick. I'd be remiss if I say, hey, Rick.
I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow for our groundbreaking at Data Lab HQ2.
Oh, I'll see you there. All right, yeah.
Cool. All right. I'll get you a blue hard hat.
Yeah, I would like that very much. I'll leave nice in a hard hat.
All right.
Let's
see about that.
So, Absolutely. HQ2, looking forward to it. Dallas, Texas, is a big hub. Obviously, Texas is a key market for us, too. Very much looking forward to growing that with y'all. So, back on topic here, how do we make money? How do your agents make money? How do your channel partners make money? Where do we grow? Pretty simple. We're one of the few providers out there that actually pays on professional services. So, when you think of professional services, think about the migration, the managed service component, the day-to-day management, and then on top of that, the NRCs. Kind of put it, I think in y'all's ecosystem, there's a lot of UCAS, CCAS,
Yep.
and we're not to compare those, but
Sure, it's
different. I came from a previous provider that didn't pay agents on installs or NRCs. What's really cool about SADA here is we're paying your agencies on that. So imagine getting a customer moving from one hybrid cloud to Google Cloud, and in that migration, your agent gets paid.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic. So net new licenses. What are net new licenses? Think about consumption, Google Cloud Search, G Suite. Anytime that someone's buying a seat, you get paid on that use case. Same with renewals, right? So if there's an account, and we're seeing that quite a bit, where a customer might be on GCP or G Suite and they want to renew a contract and they want to move over to SADA as the bill of record, we can absolutely do that. So to give you a deal on that, the license transfer is exactly where I'm going on this component. So if you have a customer that is already on Google Cloud out there today that is not in a commit and spending less than $150K monthly, you can actually move them over to SADA as the biller of record, and your agents and your trusted advisors will actually get paid on it.
So I'm just going to stop you right there. So silver bullet, something for everybody to remember. You've got to be asking your clients today, are you utilizing GCP in any functionality today? Or are you looking to move any of your applications or anything to that matter to GCP? Because you have an answer to both of them. Some of the biggest wins we're getting were already Google customers. And then you guys assumed that business, took it over, grew it, and made a much happier customer.
Very much so, very much so. We got a big component on that to cover. That was a $1.2 million deal, again, with Rick Reed and Julie, so thank you all.
So what would be, obviously, I kind of think there's a huge audience, but what would be a good fit for Google Cloud?
Yeah, so specifically to Google Cloud, what Google's leading in the industry is the AI and machine learning aspects. And then even beyond that, the actual containerization, which Google founded Kubernetes, and actually open sourced it to the other two cloud providers. So what is Kubernetes and containerization? Basically think about the VP of products, your applications on your phone. Developers, legacy developers, are actually writing code on VM. And what's very unique about VMs is they scale horizontally versus containerization. Containers actually scale vertically. Think of about building a skyscraper in downtown Chicago, right? That's kind of like what a container looks like from an app dev development standpoint. And with that containerization, Kubernetes is leading the charge on Google. So those are like the three big highlights. Also, we see a lot of tech-native companies. So by that, I mean where technology is ingrained. There's quite a few applications that have come out on your phones that are 100% in the cloud, so that would be a very, very strong use case as well.
And just for everybody too, containers are very much a microservice, right, which is giving extreme performance. And even VMware is coming out and saying they're going to be offering containers. So a lot of people who think this is like super bleeding edge, my engineers just told me it's the future. So just kind of a bold prediction there. But definitely something that's going to lend itself to a conversation with SADA around taking advantage of Google. Yeah. And I also think, going back to Kubernetes too, though, Google was really the co-developer, if not the developer of all of it.
It was, yeah. So they were the founder, and it was architected first and foremost on GCP. And because of Google's practice of open sourcing, they decided to open up the orchestration of Kubernetes to the other two providers, and now the other two providers have adopted that component.
I asked you that, and I bring it up because I think IT staffs want a better relationship with internal developers, and being able to say they have ways to take advantage of that in a way that they've never had before is going to get eyes opened up inside of IT staff.
Very, very much so. Yeah. Very much so. In fact, I would even say absolutely across the board on that. The IT VP of products is oftentimes the most overlooked C-suite or executive level that agents aren't talking to yet because they don't know how to have that conversation. They don't necessarily, or they're afraid to because they're afraid to step out of that comfort zone. And like you mentioned too, those very first two questions are asked, very, very simple. Are you on Google today? No. Are you looking at moving to a hyperscaler infrastructure set? Yes. And what does that look like? Then throw it over the fence to us. My team of highly qualified sales reps doesn't care. Just get them on the line to have that conversation, and we'll take it from there.
our engineers are ready to help you too. So, I mean, this is an amazing door to be opened for our trusted advisors to have a conversation they normally don't have, and to go and identify somebody within the IT organization that doesn't get a lot of love all the time from someone like us.
Very much so. And in fact, your engineering core, I'm investing quite a bit of our time and energy and resources to educate them. Your engineers are fantastic at qualifying the leads and opportunities from the very front. In fact, that actually eliminates a lot of my team's legwork. So I absolutely love it. So you've got two arms on that.
So use your IQAs. Use your IQAs. I'm telling you, get into the hearts and minds of our engineers and take advantage of this.
Pathfinder app, absolutely too.
What industry specifically? Is there any particular one, like a specific? Obviously, we touched on healthcare. I think we also touched upon the fact that a lot of newer companies, fast growth companies, are going to be a big. What else though?
Yeah, so even beyond that, you got to think about some of the legacy companies like oil and gas manufacturing. Sorry, my Texan came out with oil and gas.
That's all right. Oil and gas?
Oil and gas. Oil and gas companies, manufacturing, right? So some of these companies that are really trying to catch up to the curve that might have been, say, 10 years, 15, 20 years behind in embracing technology and innovation from the early 2000s, this is their chance to rebrand and cut costs. So that's a big deal.
That's a question I have for you. Are people saving money by moving to GCP?
100%. So right now we're finding that 10 to 20% cost savings moving from one of the traditional carriers,
Silver bullet,
and even on-prem to the cloud. And that's one of those things that I was talking about, our total cost of ownership analysis, our cloud physics analysis, live object strategy, again, all with no cost for your customers and your agents to utilize and have at their disposal.
Because think about it, right? The way you just described that is great. Like oil and gas industry generally is on legacy infrastructure. They've been running the 10-year playbook for a very long time. They've got a lot of their applications that are running on either physical or virtual or inside of their data centers. They're not taking advantage of a lot of the new age technology that exists. And this is my real big point here that I want to drive home. They don't know how to get there. They don't have the resources internally to be able to rewrite it to be sitting on GCP. They're like, yeah, I would love to do it maybe one day, but that's what you do, right? You help that handhold that whole entire process.
All the way, start to finish, and then even beyond that, the customer success with our TAMs, we have quarterly business reviews with some of our top customers to make sure we're providing consistent support all the way through such.
And I was saying to my engineers today, I really want them to make sure that they continue to keep doing this, and I want the trusted advisor to continue to keep doing this. Developers today are some of the hardest people to find and hire, period. And the turnover is tremendously high. They're getting different job offers. They're going other places. There's not a lot of consistency. It's always a goal. So to be able to rely on a company like yours that can help fulfill that's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And then even beyond that, like I mentioned before, it's how well we grow an account. Once we're on our paperwork, how that works and how it grows. And the benefit for your trusted advisors out there is that we actually pay on consumption. There aren't too many resellers of cloud that actually pay and highlight that.
Yeah, I mean, again, and it's not a silver bullet, it's just a fact. They're paying on consumption, okay? And I think that's a huge, huge thing for everybody on this phone, right? Who definitely, a lot of you have taken advantage of Managed AWS with us, Managed Azure, and there's a tremendous amount of money to be made in that. It used to be part of your business as well. You guys have a legacy in that. You understand that. You can speak that language. But this is the most profitable, hyperscaler that anyone has to be able to sell today. That's anywhere.
Sure, absolutely, across the board. You're right, spot on. So we'll cover here real quick the engaging with SADA and how that works from your standpoint and the agencies and how that looks, and then what we do and how we go to market together to grow the account base. So basically today, if you have an agency that asks those two questions that you mentioned up front, how they can register it. So you register with SADA. First and foremost, your agent, the trusted advisor, goes over to Avant, talks to your channel manager. Your channel manager then routes it to Dave and Erica. Dave and Erica then register the lead, make sure everything's covered, all our bases are covered. We usually have a sync call between your channel manager of Avant, the trusted advisor, and then SADA to make sure we're all on the same page. At that point in time, once an opportunity has properly been identified, and we understand that there's a use case and a workload potential out there, we then have to register that deal with Google. And that's very, very key, because Google has its own deal registration process. They have their own inside sales, field sales, partner support managers, field sales managers, inside sales managers, partner development managers. I mean, you name it, top down, left, right, all across North America. We have those contacts, those integrations. And then at that point in time, we find the necessary Google resource and have that call with your customer, SADA, Avant, and customer.
And I think really when you summarize that though, you're making it simple
Very
for
much.
customers to deal with the behemoth that Google has become, but also something that a lot of people want to be involved with.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you think about Google, the third largest global company in the world, third largest global company, right? So it's a beast to navigate. It's difficult to walk through. Our relationships, lean on us to cultivate those relationships with Google so you can take advantage and get your customer on the platform and get them spending at a faster rate.
I would love this. Let's talk about the Google platform.
Are they pronouncing it Anthos? I can't wait to get to that point, but is it Anthos?
Anthos.
Anthos, correct, yeah. One of my best friends is named Anthos, so we keep saying but anyway,
Go ahead and break down the
Google Cloud Platform for everybody. Just some key buzzwords, and again, for everybody listening, we're going to be able to share a lot of this information with you guys, so don't worry about, taking pictures of your screen or what have you. We'll get it to you.
Sure, absolutely. So Google Cloud is broken down in the traditional sense: compute, storage, RAM, Kubernetes, Anthos, and then beyond that, there's traditional workloads in those. So at a high level, compute, this is your standard traditional VM application: deploy, develop, grow, scale up, scale down, comparable like EC2. It's your raw data, or not raw data, it's your raw compute day in and day out. And then from that standpoint, what kind of makes Google a little bit different is the Kubernetes. We had touched about that. We talked about that. It's the containerization. So as VP of products and developers are writing code day in, day out, they're no longer looking at the standard traditional compute. They're looking at the containerization. And what Kubernetes is the orchestration. Think of it as the conductor of an orchestra that's routing all these containers together to talk and make a seamless application. So when we want to go and order our Uber, I have a seamless integration from start to finish in terms of where my geolocations are at, where my car is at, what kind of car I need to look for, and then what I want to pay, get out, and then send that metadata back to me. So that's kind of a very good overview of like what Kubernetes can do. And the storage capacity, right? So Google Storage, when you think about coal mine, nearline, what have you, if you need to store any instance like that. And then beyond that too, there's also the database, relational or static databases out there. Google has BigQuery, which is a competitor to SQL. My engineers can talk way better than I can on that aspect, right? But know that there are many, many customers moving over to Google for the BigQuery database. When you think about it with Google too, beyond a search capacity and enterprise search capability, there's an infinite number of indexing and storage out there that a database, and how do we utilize that information in that database? And that's what Google Cloud assists with and helps with, beyond the AI and machine learning. And then beyond that too, the Anthos, and this is a new product offering. Google is first to market on this. With Anthos, it's basically GKE or Kubernetes on-premise. So imagine if you had and needed a cloud node in an area that a data center may not exist. We can actually go out and drop off an Anthos box to the customer. Our CTO Miles Award said that he would come out on site 100% if the customer were to buy Anthos through us, set it up, install it, drop it off, and then make sure
someone needs to take advantage of that, because and why this is so big is, and that's why I wanted you to bring it up. The battle to get as close to eyeballs as humanly possible has never been bigger, and for a product to come out like that with the capabilities that it does, most people have no idea it even exists.
Yeah, you're spot on. That's correct. In fact, SADA is one of the first partners in Google's ecosystem to go to market with Anthos and the manageability on that. So if you're ever at like a Google Cloud Summit, chances are you're going to see Miles give the presentation on Anthos. It's awesome. And then beyond that, the saving and cost perspective, we talked about this a little bit, about 10 to 20% savings by moving away from one of the two providers or even on-prem. Because you got to think about it, if you're on a colo or on-prem, you're spending quite a bit of money on heating, cooling, cost effectiveness, the management support at the data center, about $200 an hour for them to go out and check on your case and location. And with moving to the cloud, that's instant savings right off the bat.
We got a lot to go here. I mean, this is awesome. I mean, I'm pretty excited about this.
Let's talk about the journey.
So the journey is pretty straightforward, right? What we're seeing most common are customers that are on-prem, either in a data center, co-located, or within their exact office, or they're in another provider looking at moving away from those providers to Google. And the reason for that, like I talked about before, is a little bit of the AI, ML aspects. And I would even say another component is, and this is like super easy, if you have a customer out there that's a retail or an e-commerce shop, why would you be paying your competitor for your infrastructure service? Because that competitor that's leading the cloud space, I should say, now has access to your entire data, your environment, what you're doing, and then not only that, studies are even showing that they're taking a customer's infrastructure and the products and services that are on their marketplace and then outsourcing those products to China, making them and selling them at a lower cost.
And keep going here, but I just want to point something out. Like,
It's not necessarily that they want to go to Google. They don't even know the first place to get started to go to Google.
Correct. Yeah.
And so I just want to make sure that everybody knows that. It's not just about the people that are like trying to figure out how to go there or have dabbled in it. There's a lot of companies that don't even know the first steps to get there.
Yeah, so this is highlight our key win here, and this is down in Texas, Austin specific. So again, thanks Zealy, thanks Rick, go Birds. So this one down in Austin, it's a physical software company, resource management essentially. And with that, this customer had some existing spend with us. They were utilizing Google Cloud today at about $50K, but they are a massive holding company and parent company that wanted to exercise their savings and spend to acquire additional savings and then also get our value-added resource like our TAM, our white glove onboarding, and that's where your agent, Dan Piercy at Supreme Fiber, thanks, appreciate you. I know you're out there, bud. So he brought that over to us, and he wasn't really sure where and how to take this deal and how it would look for the customer. So what we did is we came in, we had a conversation with the VP of Architecture, we identified the 50 that was already existing, and the customer wasn't even aware, but they had about 2 or 3 other billing IDs that we were able to consolidate and show additional value to the customer of cost savings, what we can do to reduce that cost, and then the added services of our TAM. So now the customer is getting a quarterly business review, they're getting the concierge service for the VP of Architecture as they start deploying new software into the cloud on how to go to market better and more effectively with SADA and Google.
I don't want to sound corny, but it's like a no-brainer. I mean, I don't know what is the downside to this.
Yeah, I can't think of one myself. I mean, costs, right? We're saving you costs. We're giving you extra resources to an extension of your staff. We make it simple for your customers, and then we pay your agents. So we're really trying to cover all the bases, do one thing and do it very well, which is why we divested our previous practice.
And I think it's just like any trusted advisor. I was saying this earlier to a group that's probably listening today in New York right now. You know, when you do deliver the pitch of a trusted advisor with the Avant ecosystem and what you guys are doing, a lot of people do say it sounds too good to be true. But I think this is very true for you guys as well. Nothing is too good to be true. There will always be bumps in the road. There will be always migration issues. There will always be something that's going to happen in anything that we do. Nothing is perfect. But I think it's the team that supports you at the end of the day. And I think that's the key here with the SADA relationship. There is no better team when you move over to Google from a support perspective.
None better. So from top down, Cloud Search, we got the Michael Jordan, our CTO, former head of solutions. I mean, it's telling whenever I go into a Google office and they say, oh, SADA's here, this is great. Not only do we have the most fun with Google, but on top of that, the execution. From top to bottom, start to finish, left to right, forward, backwards, we're there all the way, every step.
And I think this was an example of someone who picked up on the knowledge. They came to a boot camp or special forces, they learned about it or something like today. They went to their embedded base, and boom, next thing you know, obviously with some work, but a massive deal that's going to, from what I'm being told, that thing's going to keep on giving.
Yeah, we're only at the beginning. It's a 1.2 ARR, so Dan, fantastic excellent from your special forces. He heard the presentation that we gave from our CEO at Nana. He came over, talked, stopped by the booth a little bit further. He knows that he has a customer that had some sort of Google spend out there, and they want to grow, and that's what we came in and assisted. So a little bit about that, Tim. I talked about kind of our flat rate packages on that and how we can help, and this is one of the areas that account is going to grow. So the customer has about three billing IDs today that are assisting, and they know that they have a hybrid environment, both Microsoft and AWS, that they want to move away from. So one of the things that we're deploying is our VM migration flat rate packages. We're one of the first partners in Google's ecosystem, and one of the first partners actually out there in all the hyperscalers that are providing a fixed menu price in terms of Anthos flat rate, the first step, the database migration, and VM migration. And by saying a fixed menu price, I mean if you have an instance that's in one of the other two clouds and you're looking at moving it over to Google Cloud, we can look at your infrastructure and say, here's X amount of VMs, here's the X amount of data that you have, and here's a timeline that we're willing to commit to have that amount of data, VMs migrated over to Google Cloud, and then on top of that, the timeline, a fixed price, a flat rate price.
So this is really important. This also is about your background with the other hyperscalers and knowing it, correct?
Correct.
Very few people have that capability, and then in addition to that is obviously the number one partner with Google.
Absolutely. So some of the expertise that goes into it, when we hire our engineers, when I say our engineers, I actually mean our onboarding engineers, our migration engineers, they actually have background in the other 2 or 3 or 4. Actually, there's about 5 big players in the cloud space today that are moving to Google Cloud. So we pull them and we get them certified as architects and engineers on Google Cloud, and then that expertise that they brought maybe from the other cloud provider definitely plays in the use case, scenario, and success of the customer in moving to Google.
And that's huge. I mean, here's another one that we could just, are you looking to diversify your hyperscale environment? And I know for a fact, 9 out of 10 are going to say, yeah, we are. We have no idea how we're going to do it. We don't have the time right now. It's something on, in the long run. I mean, I was just with about 40 CIOs not that long ago, and I asked them, how many of you are in AWS and Azure? And they all raised their hands. And then you say, are you looking at other platforms? Well, yeah, but trying to get it out of there or trying to move those workloads, we don't have the time or the people or the resources. Sure. But that's an opportunity.
Absolutely. That's exactly why we created these flat rate packages. That's specific use case right there. And then by that same token, more and more customers are moving to a hybrid model whenever it comes to cloud. So we understand and know that just because the customer's on Google, it doesn't mean that they're going to be solely 100% embedded in Google. Most customers are going to have 2 or 3 big providers, traditionally the top 3 providers. We don't want, it's not that we don't care about those other 2. We just want to be the best at Google. So when a customer or a trusted advisor says, hey, we're looking at Google, it's a no-brainer. Let's go to SADA.
Yeah, and I think that's really another really key point because I think with the majority of the ecosystem that we have now at Avant, if you look at all of the success stories, all of the successful partners that we have, it's really about companies that are doing 1 to 2 to 3 things better than anyone else on the planet. And that was your strategic move to go to Google and focus on it.
Very much so. Yeah, that was exactly verbatim. I mean, customers, we were getting that feedback that customers just wanted one horse in the race, and that was what we wanted to do.
So what about those customers that I think my engineers are telling me today, and other folks have been telling me too, for the people that have not made a leap into AWS and Azure too, the GCP platform is becoming a great place to do it with a partner like you guys. What should our customers be looking for?
Sure. So when you're looking for that, right, in that use case that Dan had, he asked the very, very quick high-level conversations where, are you in Google Cloud today? And if you are you on a commit? No, you're not on a commit? Absolutely. Let's talk with SADA. Let's see a chance there. Whenever it comes to in terms of evaluation and looking at Google, your conversation would be, what is the general initiatives around the business, around technology? And that's the bigger component. If we can figure out the initiatives of what a customer is trying to do and what a customer is trying to solve for, then we can put a round peg in a round circle rather than forcing a customer onto our platform.
I love that. And the other thing I would say too is when I think of Google, I think of security. And I think, a lot of people are very interested in GCP for how secure it is. And it's something that's not really talked about a lot, is how Google tackles security unlike any other company.
Yeah, it's spot on that you say that, because most people aren't aware, but Google actually is a top 5 hardware vendor. When I say hardware, I mean traditional IT hardware. They make their own servers, their own storage, their own cold line, nearline. They actually own all their own data centers too, which is something that some of the other players in the space can't say. So Google has over 20 data centers globally right now, and that's actually going to grow. Part of that $45 billion spend over the next 3 years is going to the expansion of data centers and getting cloud nodes towards maybe emerging markets, developing markets, and then much more so even in North America.
And they're even taking down more space in our ecosystem of colocation providers. I know they just took some more space down in QTS and others, so that's going to continue to grow. And we've also mapped out on Pathfinder, for those of you that don't play with it every day, we've mapped out not only AWS, every single node they have, Azure, every single node they have, but we've mapped out Google as well. So it's all in there.
So this right here now is G Suite, and this is the second value add that we're starting to see customers. Forrester actually just produced a report out there in January of this year. But basically, I'll sum it up. I shared it on my LinkedIn. You can go out there, check it out. But with G Suite, it's basically revenue growth, exceeding security, reducing data breach, what have you. So what is G Suite? Most people aren't aware of it. At a high level, there's 4 or 5 key components that G Suite encompasses and utilizes. And that's slides, docs, sheets, forms, and that's your traditional productivity aspect. And in the top right, you kind of see some of the hangouts, the conversation aspects, things that I don't want to say are cutting out the telephony aspect, but assist a customer in the enterprise space in growing in the collaboration efforts. And in the bottom left is the access. This is things like Google Drive, Google Cloud Search. I was talking about that as well earlier today. But with Google Drive, imagine again having, I don't know how many times that you're in your own PC and you're sitting there and you want to find an exact form or an exact file or an exact document. You can actually search through Drive and pull it up right there in a matter of seconds.
It's the only way I search. No, I wish Outlook was even better because it's the only way I file emails. I was actually looking at it today. I had 9,500 unread emails, so I apologize if I haven't gotten back to anybody, but that's actually a true fact. And how I search, and Lindsay's laughing at me because she knows, but I literally use search to find, a lot of the stuff in there. And I'm so frustrated because it's not Google.
Yeah.
Nothing is. It's just not the case. So this is important for everybody to know. I mean, if you see somebody using any of these, right, like Google Documents, I mean, how many times have people been sending Google Documents? Whoever sent you that Google Document is a potential customer because they're already utilizing it in some capacity. So it should start those conversations with that low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, and especially as the workplace and workforce starts getting younger and younger, we see a high adoption rate from education aspect with, I don't want to say the millennial aspect because, it's kind of preaching the choir here on that. But
A lot of millennials, be careful.
Yeah, and myself included. So, it's kind of one of the things that we're seeing that in the workspace, and now it's just an easy, natural transition.
So as we wrap, I know, Lindsay, it looks like we've got a few questions, but I want to make sure that we hit on this particular deal.
Yeah, so this deal, this is our Colgate. This is kind of our big G Suite claim to fame. You're hearing quite a bit on it. 28,000 users. The customer was on Lotus Notes. We wrapped all the way from start to finish, and then now we're even finding additional professional services to assist in the migration, both the SharePoint migration across the board. 57,000 hours of Hangouts meet in a session on a month alone. We've got 94% of users on G Suite. I mean, it's pretty solid top to bottom. We did take care of the change management with on-site trainings, with our enterprise support, our digital transformation team, rock stars through and through.
What is that team? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so as you can imagine, in a traditional setting, a lot of enterprise businesses might be used to Microsoft or O365 or traditional Outlook setup or Exchange. So we actually have resources, and Google's aware of this, that G Suite is a disruptive technology. So we understand that we need to educate and train customers. So with our G Suite onboarding program, we actually give and include a change management, a digital transformation, where we send a resource out on site to train the customer on how to utilize docs, sheets, slides, Gmail, what have you, Google Drive as well, across the board, to make sure it's a 100% customer success and satisfaction.
That's killer. And in wrapping, I can't believe how fast that went by, but in wrapping, I know you just want to talk about real quick this one more slide, and then I wanted to highlight a few things. We're going to probably run out of some time, but.
Sure. So that's it. If you enjoyed what you had today, if you want to have a little bit further conversation with Dave and Erica, you can shoot an email over at avant@sada.com, or you can always go to your Avant channel manager. We have great relationships across the nation with that. And then we have our Avant deal registration link. So thank you, Drew, very much for your time.
Thank you, bud. Appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
I want to kind of talk about 2 quick things that Lindsay's telling me that we do have time for. A lot of you are probably asking questions, are we going to come out with a SADA branded video for you? And we are. It'll be a Google-powered SADA agnostic video like we always have done in the past. That should be perfect for you to open doors, to get conversations started, to get the team involved out in front of your customers. One is GCP and the other is G Suite, I believe. And I heard they were done today, but there's some technical things they're working on to make sure they're perfect for you guys, so we'll get those out. But listen, If you don't take advantage of it, if this does not become part of your talk track every single day, you're missing the boat. If you have not taken advantage of the cloud yet and you're selling UCaaS, you're selling CCaaS, you're selling data center, you're selling carrier services, this has got to be the next step for you and your firm. This is a no-brainer, as we said. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate the SADA team. Thank you, everybody. And thanks for everybody for hopping on. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks, y'all.